So next, let's take a look at the preferences section of the system settings here. We went over the appearance settings last time, so here we've got quite a few settings. Now, there's some of these that I'm not super well versed in, but I'll do my best to just give kind of like a general idea of what is going on with it. So the first will be the accessibility settings. And here's some interesting stuff that you can use for, if you need to, or even if you just prefer, like this large text setting here, you can see is checked. I believe that checked automatically just because of me using the text scaling factor from the previous videos when it was customizing the font sizes and all that. But there's screen reader options by default. There's high contrast settings if you need that for visual impairments. Zoom is kind of an interesting one. I'll just go ahead and click that for a second here, and you can see you can have it be a controlled zoom functions can be controlled by the mouse wheel here. Scrolling at screen edges, there's all kinds of settings you can do. Different so you can say the cursor moves with the content, so and then that'll depend on how it tracks the screen and everything. But the main thing here is the magnification. So if I just click this, and apologies if this bothers anybody visually, but you can see I just clicked it once and it went up 0.5 magnification. Now as I move the mouse here, and I'll try to do this slow so it's not too jarring for people, but it is changing the visual focus to follow the mouse basically. So this can be pretty helpful for certain things, like if there's something that's really small and for whatever reason you can't enlarge the size of it or the view of it, this can help you sometimes to look at it in a more clear way, that sort of thing. But also if you're just visually impaired and you need things to be much larger than they can get normally, this might be a way for you to still use the system comfortably, and you can bump up the magnification level even further if you'd like. It goes on and on here, but I don't want to mess with it too much just so it doesn't get too visually jarring for people, but that's there if you need it, and then you just click this enable zoom, and then it brings up all these other options here that you can customize. And with the keyboard settings, this is mostly for the on-screen keyboard stuff that you can do. There's a lot of settings you can change here. The layout of it, where it's located on the screen, how much of the screen that it takes up. Here you can have it show up only when you choose to activate it, or you can show it anytime that there needs to be input on the screen that it will show up. So there's some control options there for you. Some indicators if you need visual indicators of whether the caps lock and the number lock buttons are selected or not, you can do that, or audio indicators for that as well. It says event feedback required for typing assistance alerts. You can enable either visual or audio alerts for that. And typing assistance in a similar vein here. There's a sticky keys feature. It says treat a sequence of modifier keys as a combination. So if you're not able to do multiple keys at once or whatever, you can use sticky keys to try to assist with certain functions or things like that. Slower keys, it says put a delay between when a key is pressed and when it is accepted. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to think of what a good use case for that is, and nothing's coming to mind off the top of my head. But if you need that for some reason, it is there, and I'm sure there are perfectly valid reasons to need that for folks. I can't think of them right now, but it's helpful if you need it to be a little bit slower, I guess. And then bounce keys, it says ignore fast duplicate key presses. So if you're, maybe a little bit difficult, if you have a difficult time with typing or things like that, and you press keys too fast, or you press multiple keys and you didn't mean to, that sort of thing, this can help kind of curb that a little bit. I'm not sure exactly how. Let me see if I check that. Yeah, okay, there is a delay. As I say, I'm not sure about exactly how you tell it what the delay amount would be, but the timing and everything, but that there is a slider here for that. So you can you can test that and adjust it to your needs for that setting there. And then similarly, there's some mouse settings here. It says control the pointer using the keypad. So if you check this one's and you have a number pad, a keypad on on your keyboard, you can actually move the mouse cursor around. Like I'll just show you briefly using mine. It moves kind of slow by the default settings. You can see it's moving a little bit to the left, and I'll make it move a little bit up, so you can actually move the mouse around in that way. And obviously you can change the acceleration, the speed, and all that. But it does allow you to move the mouse just using the keyboard if you're not able to use, the wrist movements or any of that for your mouse. That's one way you can do that. And that setting is there. It's a simulated secondary click. It says trigger a secondary click by holding down the primary mouse button. So when you do that, it just gives you options for how long it's going to take to do that. But that's good if you can if you can't click like both mouse buttons, or if there's one that's like harder for you to reach or whatever, you can do that there. You can just have it just hold down the button and it'll do that. And then there's even an option for hover clicking. It says trigger a click when the pointer hovers. So all that would be is just you hover the mouse pointer over something, and you don't even have to click, and it will click after a certain amount of time of hovering, and it'll say what kind of click do you want to do: single click, double click, drag, secondary click, and you can set all that stuff up for the timing of it, the motion, and all that. So that's pretty handy as well for folks that need those sorts of things. Next, let's look at this account details section here. So what this really is your Linux login information. So you can set a picture for yourself if you'd like for your account. I just leave it blank, obviously. Name, yours is probably not going to say your name. It's going to say whatever name you used when you set up your account originally, and your password as well. So if you ever want to change your login password or the display name that you use, this is where you can do that. And you can also add a picture for yourself for your profile if you would like to do that. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn even more, you can find my books at bookstoread.com/Jonathan. That's books, the number 2, read.com/JONATHAN.